All right, let's get into it. Today, we have an absolutely incredible story of archaeological detective work. And it all starts in, well, a pretty unexpected place an ancient toilet. Believe it or not, this story connects one very simple everyday object to the huge, complicated history of global pandemics. So here's the big question, right? How on earth can something so ordinary, found in a latrine from 2 millennia ago, completely change what we know about how diseases spread across the ancient world? You see, for centuries, historians kind of suspected the Silk Road was a disease superhighway, but they never had that one piece of hard physical proof. Well, until now. Okay, first things first, let's meet our star piece of evidence. Long before toilet paper was a thing, people in many parts of the world used these personal hygiene sticks. It's pretty much what it sounds like, a stick, usually bamboo, with a piece of cloth wrapped around the end. And it's the stuff that's still on that cloth, perfectly preserved, that holds all the secrets. Now, to really understand this discovery, we have to go to the scene of the crime, so to speak. And we're not just talking about any old ruin. We're heading to a bustling, absolutely critical hub on the legendary Silk Road, a place that was thriving over 2,000 years ago. So let's put ourselves on the map, time-wise. We're in the Han Dynasty. The Silk Road isn't just a route, it's the beating heart of global trade. The actual toilet sticks we're talking about were used sometime between 111 BC and 109 AD. And then they just sat there, waiting until archaeologists finally uncovered them in 1992. Pretty amazing. The specific location is called Xuanquanji. Now, you should think of this place less like a town and more like a huge ancient service station or maybe even an airport hub. It was this mandatory stop where everyone, merchants, soldiers, government officials, had to pass through to rest, get fresh horses, and exchange mail. It was a genuine crossroads of the ancient world. Okay, so our scientific detectives, the archaeologists, they have their evidence, these ancient sticks, they know the location. Now it's time for the really cool part, taking these artifacts to the lab to see what stories they can tell under the microscope. And the process here was just so meticulous. I mean, can you imagine? After digging up the sticks, the researchers had to carefully scrape off these tiny, tiny bits of dried fecal matter that had been stuck to the cloth for 2,000 years. Then they put those samples under a super powerful microscope and started hunting for microscopic clues, specifically the eggs of ancient parasites. And boom, they hit the jackpot. The analysis turned up eggs from 4 different kinds of parasitic worms: roundworm, whipworm, tapeworm, and the Chinese liver fluke. Now, the first 3, they're pretty common human parasites, found all over the place. But that last one, the Chinese liver fluke, that one changed everything. Yeah, this one parasite, the Chinese liver fluke, is what completely cracked the case wide open. This is where the story shifts from just being a really interesting archaeological find to a discovery that rewrites history books. And here's why. It's all about location, location, location. Xuanquanji is located on the edge of the Taklamakan Desert, which is one of the driest places on the planet. But the Chinese liver fluke, well, it has this really complex life cycle that absolutely requires wet, marshy areas with specific kinds of water snails and fish to survive. So there's just no way, literally no way, it could have come from the local area. This was the big aha moment. There's only one logical explanation. Somebody who was already infected with this parasite traveled to Xuanquanji from a very, very distant and very wet part of the world. They used the toilets and they left the evidence behind. This is it, the first definitive physical proof of an infected person traveling a huge distance along the Silk Road. And just how distant are we talking? Well, the parasite is most common way down in China's Guangdong province, which is over 1,200 miles away. That's about 2,000 kilometers. This person undertook an absolutely epic journey, and the whole time they were unknowingly carrying the microscopic proof inside of them. You can just feel the excitement in this quote from Dr. Huyuan Ye, one of the archaeologists on the team. You can imagine that moment, looking through the eyepiece and realizing what you're seeing isn't just another sample. It's the smoking gun. It's the proof that researchers had been hoping to find for decades. So what's the big deal about finding one little parasite egg? Well, the implications are actually massive. This discovery lets us zoom way out, from looking at a single traveler to understanding the entire network of the ancient world in a new way. Because what this means is that for the very first time, we have concrete, archaeological proof that the Silk Road wasn't just for trading silk and spices and ideas. It was also an incredibly efficient pathway for spreading infectious diseases, things like the bubonic plague, anthrax, leprosy, across continents. And this discovery connects directly to our world today. Sure, the technology has changed. We've swapped camel caravans for airplanes. Travel times have shrunk from months, or even years, down to just a few hours. But the basic principle? It's exactly the same. Global travel networks are how diseases spread. Really, you can think of the Silk Road as a kind of slow-motion version of our modern global travel network. It shows that the challenges we face today with pandemics aren't some new 21st century problem. They have incredibly deep historical roots. The Silk Road was the internet of its day. It brought huge benefits, but it also came with some serious risks. And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought. 2,000 years from now, when future archaeologists are digging through the rubble of our cities, what microscopic clues will they find about us? What will tell the story of our incredibly interconnected world? It's a pretty powerful reminder that we're all writing a history, right now, that one day someone else is going to discover.